because the truth is, if you were to fall ill as a result of all the things that you're doing, what you were previously doing, someone else can do. Hello, you are not superwoman. None of us are superwomen. We sometimes need to take a step back and let other people do it. Ask yourself, what are the benefits I am getting from this interaction? And most of the time, when we're people who want to please, people who want to gain validation from family and friends by doing, and always being on, we don't even have the time and the capacity to stop and think about us. Imagine where you could be in just a few months' time when you start to be selective with what you do, what you commit yourself to, and the people you entertain. Hello there, gorgeous ladies, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. And if you are a returning subscriber, welcome back, and thank you for gracing me with your presence once again. Today's topic will be the power of selectivity and how you can actually use selectiveness in your life so that you can actually have a life that's more purposeful and more fulfilled. The reason why I thought this video would be an interesting one to add to our catalog here on YouTube is because it's very easy at times to get distracted by all the things that are happening around us and also by all the exciting opportunities that are offered up to us. But the real question here is, how and when can we maximize our selectivity so that when we do actually take opportunities, when we do actually accept an invitation, we make sure that it's something that is in alignment with who we are and what we want to attain in this lifetime. Now, I understand that not everything needs to be hyper serious and we need to, overthink it in order for us to actually make a decision. But once you learn how to be naturally selective about the things that you entertain in your life, you will find that it's a lot easier for you to say yes and no. And when you do, you mean it and you say what you mean and you mean what you say. So what we're really trying to focus on here is how can we be more deliberate about the things that we actually indulge in and the things that we entertain in our lives? Because the moment you learn how to be selective, be it with situations, be it with opportunities, be it with the decisions you make, be it with people that you entertain, once you learn how to be selective, you actually learn how to take back power and control your life. Because look, I know we've all been there before. You say yes to an engagement only because you feel under pressure. And then when the day comes of an event, you're thinking of a million reasons why you cannot go. Whereas you could have easily said, I know the kind of person I am. This is not my type of event. And even if I were to go, I would regret it because I could have used that time to do something more productive in myself or to even just rest. So because you already know that, you can then use a tool of selectivity and tell that individual, I would like to come, but on this occasion, I will not be able to. End of story. That in itself is a statement that is enough for anyone who is respectful of your time to accept it. But the reality is a lot of us cave under pressure and we forget that we have the power to be selective about the things that we get ourselves into and also be selective about the people that we entertain in our lives. So the real question here is, why should you be selective, especially in a time where we're encouraged to say yes and to do all of these various things and to indulge? Because naturally, especially in the time that we're in right now, there's an oversupply and an overabundance of a lot of things. And especially now in the summer, there's a lot of things that we all want to do. But the real question here is, why should you entertain the idea of being selective? What are the benefits? And if you haven't thought about the idea of being selective, but yet you're sitting there watching this, feeling exhausted, feeling overwhelmed, feeling as though you've overcommitted, and every time you say yes, you feel that gut-wrenching feeling that tells you that you've made the wrong decision because you've said yes on the account of other people instead of you, then you need to stay for the rest of the video so that I can give you a few more insights into exactly why being selective could save you a lot more than just time, okay? So I'll make this a little bit personal. I'm going to give you a list of the reasons why I personally choose to be selective and why I decided to start being selective in my life, because honestly, it has been so transformative that just like I was saying to you now, I started to wonder why I did not do it sooner. But then again, I feel as though as a recovering people pleaser, being selective was something I was not familiar with. And of course, naturally, if you're a people pleaser, the first word that comes out of your mouth is yes. And the lines of your boundaries are very blurred. So if you are also a people pleaser or a recovering people pleaser, then this is definitely a tool and also a principle that will really and truly transform your life. So the first reason why I actually decided to be more selective about the things I entertained and the people I entertained in my life was because of the time I was able to take back. The time I was able to actually use for myself and for my endeavors, instead of being in situations or around people whereby I feel as though I am not necessarily utilizing my skill set, my mind, and my energy the way that I should. See, the problem with not being selective is that your life becomes crowded, and worse yet, you lose out on the most expensive and the most exclusive commodity, which is time, something we cannot get back. I am yet to hear or find of anyone who has discovered time travel. So until we find time travel, time will be the most exclusive and expensive commodity in this world. So if you are in a position where you're not being selective, and as a result of you not being selective, you keep entertaining things in your life and tying yourself down to commitments that take up a bulk of your time, then you will start to realize that you're not really doing what you should be doing for yourself. And also the worst thing is that time that has been wasted, you cannot get it back. So I really want you to sit with yourself and think, how many things have I been saying yes to? How many things have I accepted? How many things are actually waiting for me to do that I have no business being involved in, but because I couldn't say no, I am now tied in, I am now locked in, right? Once you start taking an assessment of the things that you've been saying yes to and seeing how much time they consume, you will actually start feeling like you need to make a change. And if you don't feel like you need to make a change, continue as you are right now. But then at the end of the year, look back at how many opportunities that you could have gone after for yourself that you didn't because you were busy investing in things and also committing to things that were not even in alignment with you. So I think the most important thing for me here was when I started to think about time, I also started to think about the link between time and energy, right? So the time that you're putting in, you naturally cannot divide your energy, right? So if all of my focus and my time is on this thing that I'm doing for somebody else, when and how am I going to get the time and energy to do the things for myself? There's a level of selfishness you need to exercise when you get to a point in your life where your time is so limited. And if we're being honest, a majority of us have very limited time and we wish for even another extra 4 hours so we can have 28 hours in a day. But the reality is that's not going to happen. But what can we really do to take back that time to do the things that we need to do? And that is what we're focusing on here. So the first reason why I decided to be selective is when I looked at how much time I was actually wasting on things and situations that had absolutely nothing to do with me. And half of the time you're doing things that other people could do for themselves. So the first reason why I decided to be selective about the things I indulged in and the people I entertained was because I realized my time is a commodity that needs to be treated with respect and also consideration. If there's one key point I want you to take away from this, is that when you commit yourself to too many things and you spread yourself thin, you can only do so much in each and everything. And worse yet, if these are commitments, say for example, at work where you keep saying yes to things because you don't want to be that person that says no and you want to be seen as though you're doing a lot or you're busy. But if you keep saying yes to things, the room for error increases, right? The room for mistakes increases. And now what then happens is that because you already don't even have the energy to be able to step back and assess what is happening, you will be at a point where if and when you're pulled up on your mistake, you will probably not even be able to defend yourself because really and truly, you have no reason as to why you were not able to communicate that you did not have the capacity to take on the things that you took on. So it goes back to taking accountability and being responsible for the things you commit yourself to. Don't overcommit yourself and expect that people will have sympathy for you when in actual fact you should have had sympathy for yourself from the very beginning and only said yes to the things you genuinely wanted to invest your time and energy in. So I would like to challenge you again to review the things you're committing yourself to and then ask yourself, am I allocating my time to these things because I want to or because I feel I need to? Now, the other reason why I chose to be selective and I actually became very militant with it is because I started to realize that when we lack in the ability of being selective, again, about what we commit ourselves to and whom we commit ourselves to, you start to realize that it will take a toll on your emotional well-being. If, again, you are the type of person that is afraid of confrontation when you say no, if you're the type of person that has been conditioned to say yes before you even think about it, and if you are the type of person that is so hard pressed with the thought of people disliking you because of saying no, then the likelihood is you will keep saying yes, you will keep accepting and taking on more than you can, and because of your inability to be selective, it will eventually take a toll on your physical well-being or your mental well-being. And this is exactly why you need to understand your patterns, understand why you do what you do. I know that it can sometimes feel uncomfortable to ask yourself these questions, but really and truly, when we think about our health and our emotional well-being and just our overall well-being being threatened by the fact that we are unable to stand up for ourselves, this is something that we shouldn't take lightly, because regardless of how much we want to please other people, when our body starts to fail us as a result of us not protecting our time, not protecting our energy, not creating enough space for ourselves, we are not in a position to blame anyone. I would like to think that every single one of us, and you watching with myself over here, we are in a time and place where we understand that communicating is the key to everything. So even if you do want, for example, to do and to go over and beyond for other people, if you do not have a capacity and your emotional well-being or your physical well-being is being challenged as a result, communicate it. If you're unable to communicate it with a person, then the question here is, should you really and truly be interacting with that person? If you are trying to communicate that you are unable to do something, feel that you are being pushed or coerced into doing it, then that is a problem in and within of itself, and you should not accept that. If you tell somebody no, say for example family members who are very reliant on us and what we can do for them, but if it gets to a point where your life is getting busier and you have priorities outside of the family unit, you should remind yourself that you also are a priority and that you do not have to overextend yourself just because it's family in order for you to feel like you've appeased them. You need to be in a position whereby when you start to see that your well-being, in whichever capacity that is not as it should be because you're overcommitting and overextending yourself and not sleeping enough and not resting enough, then you need to start to prioritize yourself and do it unapologetically, because the truth is, if you were to fall ill as a result of all the things that you're doing, what you were previously doing, someone else can do. Hello, you are not superwoman. None of us are superwomen. We sometimes need to take a step back and let other people do it. Lifting the world and the weight of the world on your shoulders will not give you the golden star in life. There are no rewards that are given to people who slave their life away intentionally. If you start to see that what you are doing, you're kind of doing it because you feel like you need validation, then it's time for you to start understanding what it is that you need emotionally. What is the void within yourself that needs to be filled outside of all the things that you're doing to try and get a golden sticker in life? Because the focus here for every single one of us should be trying to create enough space where we feel content, we feel peace, and we feel fulfillment in our lives. And that starts with us being selective so that we can protect our physical, mental, and emotional well-being. So over time, as I continued practicing how to be selective, I started to realize that I gained a clarity of purpose. And by that, I mean the time I was able to get back, the energy I was able to get back, I reinvested in myself. I reinvested it into the things that I was curious about. And in having those moments, having those long periods of time that I would have usually dedicated to other people, I started to see and align myself with my purpose. It's almost as though the minute I stopped overextending, stressing, and causing myself anxiety on behalf of other people, or should I say because of other people's issues or other people's matters, I realized that my life is not as chaotic as it has been, and most of the time when we do have chaotic lives, if it's outside of us causing the chaos, then we start to realize that we may need to move some pieces in order for us to see that life can be calm, peaceful, and content. And when you have that peace and that moment to yourself, you're actually able to really think about what matters to you. Having that time back and being able to sit with myself and with my thoughts and journaling when I would have normally been running around doing other things for other people gave me the opportunity to figure out what truly mattered to me. And that felt really good, because for a very long time I felt like there was more that I could do, there was more that I could be, but really and truly I never dedicated the time, nor did I have the ability at that point in time to communicate that I needed to get the time back. So what I really want you to understand here is that when you start noticing that you're overextending yourself again, ask yourself, what are the benefits I am getting from this interaction? And most of the time, when we're people who want to please, people who want to gain validation from family and friends by doing, and always being on, we don't even have the time and the capacity to stop and think about us. And this is why I made this video, to encourage you that you are not alone, that there are many people out there like you who do not know that being selective is your golden ticket out of stressful, anxious, and unnecessary situations that have nothing to do with you. So let this be encouragement. If you feel like there's something that you need to tap into with regards to your purpose and your calling and your gift in life, it may actually be sitting there looking at you, but waiting for you to take a moment to pause and have enough time and bandwidth mentally to think about it and focus on it. Imagine where you could be in just a few months' time when you start to be selective with what you do, what you commit yourself to, and the people you entertain. And the next thing you know, you are starting to let your creativity flow and you're realigning yourself with the purpose you should have been following to begin with. So being selective is not about being snooty. It's not about saying that other people are not important or other people's needs are not important. No, it's about knowing what to involve yourself in and what to leave aside. So aside from gaining clarity of purpose during this process of being selective, I really started to value the concept of quality over quantity, right? Quality relationships, quality friendships, quality interactions and experiences, right? I was a sort of person growing up that had tons of friends. I mean, I had different circles of friends whereby these ones would be my school friends, these ones would be my friends from this leisure group, these ones would be my friends from maybe my country, and I was always in a mix with everyone. And to be quite honest with you, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed being the life of the party and hosting people, enjoying life with people, and that was a season of my life. However, on reflection, I have come to realize that most of those relationships were very, very superficial. Most of those relationships, honestly, if I were to be thrown back in right now, they would not stand the test of time because they were there for that season and for a reason. However, when I now look at my life and I see the handful of people I call friends, they are all people of substance. They are all people I can call in the middle of the night with an issue, and they will give me wisdom and they will fill me up and help me navigate my life. Whereas the people I had before, the quantity of friends I had before, most of them I couldn't even trust, but I called them friend because at that time and in my youth, of course, that's what you did. You had your groups of friends for partying or whatever it might have been at that point in time. But it's quite interesting to look at the contrast of the two, whereby with the big, large groups of friends, it felt like I never had any time to myself. It was forever moving. It was always a phone call. There was always a text. We're doing this, we're going there, we're doing this, we're going there. Someone always had some sort of drama happening. It was very busy and very noisy and very chaotic. Whereas right now with my quality friends, yes, there's only 5. However, even if I have an interaction with one of them, I walk away feeling as though I have just invested my time in the best interactions. I walk away feeling whole. They walk away feeling whole. And even if we haven't seen each other in months, when we see each other, it feels so natural. It feels so warm. And it feels honestly like the sweetest feeling ever, because With most of my friends, we're very straightforward with each other, we're very trustworthy with each other. Our interactions are filled with just pouring into each other. And I think when I really took time and started to realize that, seeing how I had a ton of friends, whereas now I probably just got the 5, but even with the 5, I feel like it's enough. Because in a world where there are millions of people, when you feel alone, it's a horrible feeling. You know, I can even remember back to when I said, oh, I was a lot more social, and I could be in the middle of a party, and I'm always the kind of person that has a lot of introspect, right? And I was stood there once and I thought, Jesus, I feel so alone. And I never even heard of that term of you can be surrounded by a million people yet feel alone. It's a horrible feeling. And I think when I really let that sink in, I allowed myself to really respect the concept of quantity over quality, because the more I think about quality in life, I started to practice that in everything that I did. Even with my clothing, most of the items I've had for a few years, because I'd much rather have the quality over the quantity that I will wash today, it's gone tomorrow. I'd much rather invest in something whereby cost per wear makes more sense than in fast fashion, right? Nothing wrong with fast fashion. I'm just saying, for me, I started to realize that I lean and I feel more connected to the quality of things in life as opposed to the quantity. So even beyond just the friendships and also the choice in style and fashion that I changed, I also just started to value the things that I invested in more, right? The things that I committed myself to more, because I knew that once I get that time back, whatever I invest my time and energy into, I will pour everything into it. I will really immerse myself in it. I will allow myself to really get my head around whatever it is that I am now invested in, whether that's a creative pursuit, whether that's learning a new skill. Like, say for example, I really wanted to refine my swimming, so I made sure that I cut out all extracurricular activities so that I could focus on my swimming on the weekends, and I committed to that, and I'm reaping the rewards for it now. Whereas in the past, I would have committed myself to so many different things, and then when it came down to it, I would have never improved on anything because I was busy or jumping around from one activity to the other. So all I'm trying to say here is, when you start being selective and focusing on the quality of things as opposed to the quantity of things, you know, saying yes to everything versus saying maybe yes to 1 or 2 opportunities a month, you really start to realize that that's how you grow and develop as a person, because you have enough time to understand what you're committing yourself to. You have enough time to really get into what you're doing and also align yourself accordingly and make sure that what you're saying yes to is aligning with you. So you see, being selective has its benefits. And I know you saw this one coming, because you know I love to speak about boundaries. So the one thing I definitely had to work on over the years is how to create boundary and balance, because with being selective, you do have to apply a lot in terms of boundaries. You do have to figure out what boundaries am I going to set in place in order for me to continue being selective, so that my selectiveness is not seasonal. And when you actually start to see that applying boundaries in your life, with family, with friends, with co-workers, you know, even maybe with people that you interact with on a casual basis, when you start to apply boundaries, it takes the stress off of you, because you start to act as the person you eventually want to be. By being selective, you enable yourself to set and maintain boundaries to protect your time, your energy, and also the quality of things and people coming through. By creating boundaries, you start to exercise how and when to use your yeses and your nos. It's not everything that's a no, and it's not everything that's a yes. The question is this in alignment with me? Should I say yes or should I say no? Again, when you start to do this, you will start to see that you build muscle memory, and you start to see that in actual fact, setting boundaries really works and goes hand in hand with being selective, because it's not everything and everyone that you entertain. And I think I'll probably add this here. There are times that being selective could go as far as to not only save you time, but to also save your life. There's some instances where we hear of people who said yes to the wrong experience and their life completely changed. So with boundaries, don't be afraid to say no. Don't be afraid to say this isn't for me. So say for example, if you are an attractive young woman and you get a lot of people approaching you, asking you for your number or just asking to buy you a drink, and you're not very used to saying no, it can be a perfect time or a perfect position for you to now start learning how to say no and say it gracefully. If somebody does approach you, you could say something along the lines of, I appreciate you coming over, it's really nice of you. However, at the moment I am not dating, and I'm also kind of like not interested in dating anyone at the moment. But maybe, you know, if I bump into you another time and the situation is different, we can see how things go, and just leave it as that. Because I know nowadays it's a little bit tricky to say no, because some people don't really understand how no works and they keep pushing. But anyway, what I wanted you to understand from that is that by setting boundaries, you only accept and let in things that are in alignment with your value system. And also, if you're trying to attain a goal, you don't just say yes to everything, because you need the time and the capacity to actually attain the said goal. Because all you want to do is to figure out how to conserve your energy, conserve your time, and actually invest that in things that truly matter to you. And I think the last thing I would like to add here is that by embracing selectivity and understanding what it means and what it can actually add to your life, it really and truly just adds a different angle of authenticity and fulfillment for yourself, because it helps you to lean into being authentic to what you want to do. It helps you to lean into being authentic with the path that you want to go on. And I think even when it comes to relationships with, you know, with friends and or with a romantic partner, when you are selective, you are more likely to filter out the people that don't align with you and get to the person that is meant for you, because you say no when you feel that it's not right for you. You don't just say yes because you feel that you are obligated to say yes, and or saying yes because you feel like you have no alternative. So by saying yes to the right things and no to the wrong things, you give yourself a shortcut to getting to the life that is designed and ideal for you, because you are not serving someone else's purpose, you are actively working towards serving your own purpose, which is absolutely fine, and there is nothing wrong with that. So what I'd like to add here is, one thing that I really discovered is that when I aligned my actions with my values and passions, I feel like it allowed me to live a life that felt more genuine and purposeful for me, rather than chasing superficial measures of success, because the latter actually leaves you feeling like you've got a void that you need to fill with other things. Whereas when you lean into being more honest and genuine and purposeful about your life, it feels easy, it feels organic, it feels like it flows like it should. And that's the most important thing here. So I hope that you have taken something from those few points that I personally found along my journey of being selective. And I want you to remember that being selective benefits you by enhancing clarity, the quality of life, balance that you gain in your life, the authenticity you feel about your life. And also, if you really think about it, you become more efficient and you have the ability to do more because you're now more intentional with your time. And let's not forget, by being selective, you protect your emotional well-being. You don't allow the energy vampires to get you. You don't allow the energy drainers to get you. You don't allow people to impart their anxiety and their trauma on you, because you become selective about the interactions you have, the people that you entertain, and also the circumstances that you tolerate in your life. And what we ultimately want to do is to find ourselves in a position where our lives are more purposeful and more refined over time because of our selectiveness in life. So that has been my time for today, lovely ladies. I hope that you found something in this video that has resonated. And if it has, do not forget to let me know in the comment section below, and let us know what other tips do you have on being selective. Trust me, this is definitely a video that I am going to do a part 2 on, because I went very light on it today, but I will give you all some very interesting examples of why you need to be selective in the next video. And if you'd love to see that, make sure you leave me a comment in the comment box below. And until next time, do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. And you can find more videos like this up here. So until next time, gorgeous ladies, bye bye.